Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Alana here. Welcome back to 3 Degrees of Love Divination. So I wanted to do another therapy and tarot video. I guess calling it the holiday special, if you will. People tend to get more overwhelmed with anxiety and depression, and whatever other mental health issues they may suffer from. Things can definitely be heightened around this time of year. Seasonal depression is something that is common for people, and given, the state of society, all around the world, this type, during this season, it can be a lot, it's that much harder for everyone to cope. And, given, the present moment with all of that's going on in the world, we're all affected in some, form or fashion. And, those that have more mental health issues, mental illnesses, things like that can, definitely make things worse. So with, that being said, and, given what I've talked about, as my background, and things like that, and I, openly admit to my own struggles with OCD, anxiety, depression, and other such issues that arise from that. So, I also talk about the fact that, I'm actively in therapy for my own mental health, and so I will always, as my background is social work, I will always recommend, professional help above anything else. But one thing that I have found that has been helpful, besides, keeping a very active spiritual life, religious upbringing, but sort of expanding that, if you will, into other forms of divination, including tarot and oracle decks and things like that, and how I have found it beneficial to combine all aspects of human wellness and connectivity, things that I have personally experienced and what I'm still actively doing to better myself, and how I relate to all of you, the rest of the world. So, with that being said, there are some decks that I wanted to highlight that I have either recently acquired, had for a while, and, companies and stuff like that I feel, make great decks. Also, it's sort of that time where I'm ready to, put away a deck or two, and sort of rotate them out with some other ones. So since I, was planning on putting away some decks, I figured, let me show you guys what's in my collection right now, and that I've enjoyed working with presently. And with that being said, if you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe. I plan to do more videos like this in the future, more collaborations with other content creators, other deck creators and such, as I continue to move forward and build my channel. And also, don't forget that I do have a pending giveaway that I did talk about in previous videos in relation to, and that was gifted to me by the beautiful Serafina from Rue in Vervain. That is the creator of the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, as well as the upcoming Wisdom of Pooh Tarot. So I will actually, so the giveaway is still for the potential giveaway, I should say, once I hit the 200 subscriber mark, is for the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle. That was, like I said, lovely gifted to me by Serafina from Rue in Vervain. So I will have all that information linked down below, including all the decks that you will see today. And of course, whatever, in regards to mental health, I am Canadian, so a lot of the links will probably be Canadian, and what I do have for, the US. And, if there is any further information in regards to resources that, you guys want to see, or that maybe you want to share, that you're aware of in your own, deck of the world, if you will, section of the world. I don't know why deck came up, maybe because I have the decks on my mind, but anyways, yeah, and so by all means, feel free to comment down below, share with me, what are some of the decks that you liked, what are some of the decks that you may have that are similar, or that, if you have any of the decks that I'm showing, really cool. So anyway, with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so the first deck I want to talk about that I have been working with, and that I've been really enjoying, and even though this may have a specific, what's the word, focused topic, if you will, it's not to say that it can't be used for other things. It is a deck that I, even in a lighthearted way, I feel complements any therapy session, and especially, when dealing with addiction, and we have, as we are all different, as we are all, having our own ways of coping with, whatever various traumas and things that we may have experienced in our life, that can be in various forms, whether it be to compulsive spending, gambling, substance abuse, any of those things, as difficult as those can be to deal with, of course, the first step is recognizing that there's a problem and seeking, the appropriate medical professional help, to help begin the healing process and the overcoming process. But in addition to that, like I said, here are some of the decks that I feel sort of are complementary. And, so far what I have seen coming out, that I feel are, what's the word? Perfect for what I'm talking about, if you will, is from none other than Knock Knock Publishing. And so the first deck is Your Sober Pal, by Laura Van Antwerp, and it's 50 daily affirmation cards to help you along the recovery path. And even though in this particular deck, as you will soon see when I go flip through some of the cards, you'll see that it mainly it is talking about alcoholism, and addressing that particular addiction throughout the cards. So of course, perfect for anyone, needing to attend AA or anything like that. I feel like this is a great sort of complementary deck, for daily pulls and, like I said, affirmations, whatever. The way that it is laid out, it's really got this sort of dark kind of humor-ish sort of way to kind of, if you will, lighten the sting, but it still has that confrontation need, if you will. So here are the backs of the cards, called Your Sober Pal. This is the box it comes in. It's a magnetic clasp box. It opens out all the way, and this is what's inside. So this is the extra card that comes with it, like instructional, sort of informational card, if you will, how to use the deck. So I obviously, not in use, to shuffle, so I've put it back in the box. And definitely hardcover. I know a lot of the reviewers love to, knock on the box and things like that. Anyway, so, and I've actually been using two of their other decks as well in this, which, you will see, again, by Knock Knock Publishing, but have been authored or created by, various creators. So, anyway, so first is, like I said, Your Sober Pal. And I've already shuffled these cards because, like I said, I've been using them. But so we have Putting in the Work. And you can see what I meant by, the sort of lighthearted, humoristic inner child kind of feeling to the deck. Putting in the work. Woof. This is a lot of pugging work. I rewire my brain and nervous system by putting in the work, whether it's meditation, journaling, or working a sobriety program. I find something that resonates with me and commit to it. If I can trudge through 5 feet of snow to buy tequila, I can show up to therapy. Bam. So yeah, I really like, the messages on the cards, and feel like it, again, is a perfect sort of complementary, introspective affirmation thing, that one can do to aid them along and, support them and encourage them, throughout the work, because recovery, healing, when you're doing it right, it is hard work. It is very challenging. It can be very emotionally provoking, because basically this is shadow work, right? Like, this is, to me, this is the definition of shadow work, is confronting the things that are harmful, whether it be harmful to yourself, harmful to others, that, again, keeps you in this sort of low vibrational energy, but just doing one thing, like, or just relying, to me, just relying on religion, for example, or other, some, sort of divination practice, isn't enough. If you're doing it right and you've suffered trauma and you're going through the healing process, you're doing it right. You know, that's in my opinion, you know, we can only meet one another as deeply as we're willing to meet ourselves. And if we're not willing to do that deep dive into confronting our pain, our you know, the demons that plague, you know, our heart space, you know, and that sort of trigger us and keep us closed, you know, closed off, you know, relatably, it's that kind of thing that needs to be addressed. And it's not just, you know, what occurs in your present lifespan, but what has maybe been plaguing your family line for generations, you know, and doing the work and willing to uncover those so you can heal those karmic woundings. So, you know, and for me personally, I have found the combination and addressing the various issues that I've had to experience, you know, in the last several years of my life, you know, that have affected my well-being and my, you know, my everyday living, you know, all of those things, you know, and putting in the work and the commitment to, you know, heal my pain, I feel, you know, is what's going to help me to achieve, you know, what I'm looking to achieve in this lifetime. What, you know, what is my greatest potential. So anyways, getting back to the cards, this is why one of the reasons why I enjoy this deck, and I'm still committed to my profession. You know, it's what I feel has always been my calling and what I am still drawn to do, and but having to, you know, figure out and find a new way of doing that. So anyway, all that being aside, so yeah, so and then we have vulnerability. I think I'm ready to come off this tree and see what else is out there. Vulnerability helps me build deeper connections with myself and others in sobriety. After years of disconnecting through and hiding behind alcohol, and as I said, you know, in this case, like, yes, it's specific to alcohol, but, you know, you can basically, you know, change that word accordingly for yourself, you know, or whoever you're working with, you know, if you're using it, you know, for, you know, to aid your work with someone else. But you can change that. It doesn't have to be alcohol. It can be whatever, you know, sort of addiction or means of coping that have been toxic, that you've, you know, been looking to hide behind, right? So getting vulnerable makes me feel like I'm standing butt naked in the produce aisle of a grocery store. Sharing how I really feel takes love and courage. Yes, it does. And as scary as that seems, it can't be as scary as waking up hungover and reading all the drunk texts I sent the night before, which I'm pretty sure I've done like 100 times or so. So, you know, I feel like these cards really help to taking accountability, right, for yourself and you know, what pain you've unconsciously, you know, subconsciously, consciously have, you know, done to hurt yourself and others, and how to heal and work through that, you know, for the betterment of yourself and others. So, I'm not going to read all of them, but anyway, you know, I'm just going to quickly, you know, run through some of these cards. We have willingness, letting go, cultivate friendship, sobriety equals sexy AF. Embracing the struggle, doing hard things, self-care, trust the future. Well, being helpful, acceptance, so so on and so forth. So that's that deck. And your sober pal. I'm actually probably still gonna work with this one, so I'm just gonna put it back. And excuse me. Okay, and so the other one's by Knock Knock Publishing as well that I've still been using. We have two here. We have 50 cards, Happyish, an oracle deck, for people going through hard stuff, which is basically everybody, by Nora McInerney. I'm so sorry if I butchered that, Nora. My apologies. But yes, if anybody who can pronounce that wants to put it in the description, and how to pronounce that, I would be forever grateful. And we have Gentle Reminders, a daily oracle deck to help you stay grounded, be present, and love deeper. So 40 cards, and this is by Barry Lee. So let's just open the deck. As you can see, it's pretty much the same standard box design as the previous one. Your sober pal opens all the way. This one doesn't really have anything here, but it does have a message here. So right, it's the same sort of latch box. And then I'm also using, like I said, Happyish. And this is the inner box, what it looks like. And actually, okay, so these are the boxes, and now the cards for each box looks like that. These are the backs. I'm gonna put these boxes aside so we can take a look at the cards. So yeah, so these are the backs. I do like the funky design. It is, I guess it depends on the person, but the card stock, I should say, for all of these decks is very flexy. As you can see, very, snaps back pretty well. But this particular thing can be a little bit, so I love to riffle shuffle and bridge, and sometimes I find that it can be a little bit difficult, but I'm able to still do it properly without really hurting the cards so far. And I have been using this for several weeks now, so yeah. So anyway, sorry yourself. It's agony to wait for those words, to tap your foot and hope for someone to see the error of their ways. The bummer truth is, they may never apologize. You might not get the closure you want or the explanation you're owed. So give it to yourself. I mean it. Stop waiting on someone else and give yourself the damn apology you're waiting on. All right. And yes, like I said, I've been using these cards too. So of course they're been shuffled. Something bad could happen. It could, but the thing about the worst case scenario is that we don't know what it will be, or when, or if it will ever happen. The best that could happen is equally knowable, equally unpredictable. Best of all, most of life is just right in the middle, totally forgivable and utterly boring. All right. Okay. let's see. You know what? Let me show you how this one shuffles. Like I said, they're all pretty much the same cardstock, but hopefully I can do this one decently, actually. And then I'll pull a card. Why not? Oh, yeah. See? So that's actually not too bad. Right? Very, it does sort of have that buttery-ish shuffleability, if you will. At least in my ears they do. So, and then, I don't know if I can do it to show you, but very well because of the distance of my camera right now. So, but, all right, let's see. Get a card for the collective. Maybe we'll try my best not to hit the camera. Actually, let's just use it for tear off. One card, please. For the collective. Okay. Don't should yourself. And don't let anyone else should you either. There is no room for want or drive or your own humanity when should arrives, because should already has a plan, but that clear direction has a price. It eliminates possibility and wonder from your life. Could gives you that, an option, not an obligation. Should happens. Sorry, but could is so much better. And, you know, to me, that speaks to the idea of choice, the idea of love, right? And to me, what love means, you know, when we give love to ourselves and when we give love to others, you know, this is what we're doing, right? It's the idea of aiding and helping, but not directing. Because, you know, it's the choice. It's our life, right? So when we, you know, when we, and that's, to me, is what also speaks to the idea of spirituality and this, you know, and why the world is so chaotic, why the spiritual world is so chaotic, because it's this divide, right? It's the divide. So, you know, but when we can recognize that and see the similarities and take that deep dive into things rather than running away from one spectrum to another. But anyways, that's a whole nother. But when we can do that and see ourselves in one another, to me, that is the idea of heightened awareness, heightened self-awareness, you know, higher vibration, you know, and that idea. And so, to me, to achieve that level, to the highest degree, which is love, is, you know, the willingness to dive deep, but keep yourself grounded and anchored in what is present moment. Anyway. We are only in control of ourselves, and we are in charge of our own destiny, essentially. But we don't work separate from the whole. And that's where, you know, the idea of karma and why healing and you know, trauma is important. Anyhow, I digress. Okay. Happiness. All right. So the next deck, which is Gentle Reminders. I don't know why I'm shuffling this. I just felt inclined to. But again, it's the same flexibility, if you will, as the other cards, like I said. Okay. All right. Well, fine. 2 wanted to fall out, so why not? Little moments of decompression can help cultivate expansion. And you deserve to give yourself tenderness anytime you wish. Yes. Without the feeling of guilt given to yourself or by someone else, right? That whole idea, going back to that whole should versus could scenario. Yeah? Okay. And so, you know, that gives you into the idea. The next deck that I've actually been working with and that I've very much been enjoying is the Pulp Tarot. These are the backs. I have the mass market version. I really wanted the indie version, but when I came across it, you know, on YouTube by other creators showing the deck, you know, it was definitely too late to get my hands on it. Plus, it was much more expensive. So, you know, I was really happy when I found out that it came mass market. However, so here's the little guidebook that it comes with. But one of the things that I really like about the guidebook is, and that's why I always say I love a good guidebook, is definitely the meanings and the interpretation that was written by the creator, I believe. So I will maybe pull a card and read from the guidebook quickly. So so this is the Pulp Tarot. The cardstock it's got that cardboardy feel, but it's very flexible, and it's got a not really glossy. It's semi-gloss, I guess you would say. But anyways, let me continue, because I'm not really the reviewer like that to really give you all that. But anyways, maybe I am, maybe partly, I don't know, we'll see. Okay. One card for the collective, please. Thank you. We have the Hierophant. So that's 5 in the Major Arcana. And definitely a movie poster, and what looks to be a female pope. And that, you know, it's funny because actually, as soon as I see that, I think of Mary Magdalene. I think about I forgot, what is that Joan of Arc? No. I forget. The first female pope. If any of you remember and can recall who I'm talking about, please please put it in the comments. I know I did mention the person when I did my Mary Magdalene birthday video, and I went through the Divine Feminine deck. I know, well, the archetype is in there, but if you can help me out, because I'm drawing a blank right now, that would be great. But anyways, let's read the Hierophant. Alrighty. Okay, so the Major Arcana. 5, the Hierophant. The Hierophant is related to the High Priestess. Like her, he makes the rules. Unlike her, he doesn't seem to be very kind. He's more of a rules for the sake of rules sort of guy. Rules have served him very well. He's made it to the top of his religious order and has a fancy stone chair. Does he have the wisdom to go along with his strictness? Hard to say. He has the age, certainly, but I have my doubts, as any successful religious order tends toward corruption and favoritism. So, yeah, like that. That speaks to the to the sort of religious idea of the masculine and feminine archetype, and the the current state of corruption across all. But of course, what first comes to mind is Christianity, because I am by way of that. My upbringing is by way of that. And after finally seeing the Da Vinci Code and oh yeah. Yep. Okay. Thank you. So, that's the Pulp Tarot. The next one we have is the that I've been currently working with, but actually this one I'm ready to retire for another time and switch it out for something else. And that is the Untamed Elemental by Tasia Van Ree. It's a 52 card Oracle deck and guidebook. So the big main box, actually, let me just put these ones back. Hold on. There. Okay. So the backs look like this. The all-seeing eye. Ooh, lava is what was there. Okay. Anyway, so the Untamed Elemental, as I said, by Tasia Van Ree. It's a 52 Oracle deck and guidebook by Roost Books, I think, if I remember correctly. I will have it in the description box, of course. It's magnetic, sort of book open type closure like this. Does have the little ribbon, the cardboard insert. Now, here's the thing. I am not a particular fan of the extra cardboard insert inside. But I know there's a lot of, because I do love to watch reviews and things like that. And I do notice that a lot of people detest the inserts. I definitely do too. But if you're ever going to do an insert in a box, because I find that these can get destroyed, the cards can seep in, especially if, you know, there's a space in you know, in the construction of it. You know, cards get stuck and can get damaged, right? So I hate to see that. You know, and then often the cardboard insert may be damaged or bent itself, so then the cards are not fitting in properly too, right? So anyways, to me, if you're gonna do this, I love it when publishers do this. There's a lot of people I know who detest that because they figure it's extra packaging, it's wasteful, blah, blah, blah. But to me, it's an extra security in protecting an investment. So, you know, to me, I always appreciate the extra box because of that. So, anywho, there is, okay, so this is the guidebook. This is the size of the guidebook. And it's like a full-on page write-up for each card. So, now I will get to why I really enjoy working with this too, for the sake of what I've overall talking about, because of what's in the guidebook. So anyways, back to the cards. All right, so let's okay, so the cardstock is sort of very cardboardy, but it's very flexible. And as you know, a collector of playing cards my entire life, you know, and you know, and now a love of tarot and oracle and all of that stuff, the cardstock is pretty good. So all right, let's get a card for the collective, please. For one card, Phoenix. I love it that it's the Phoenix card that came out. The first was that I had, obviously you saw me turn over, was the lava card, but I really like that the Phoenix came out. Okay, so this is what, you know, the inside of the guidebook, and let's see. So the Phoenix card is under the, they are definitely sorted by their elements. And the Phoenix card is a fire element card. All right. Phoenix. Resurrection. He is a pillar of eternal light, presenting vital passages of cyclical regeneration. Phoenix is always transforming through birth, death, and resurrection. When everything that once was is no longer, he activates rebirth through fire and fortitude. Once he is offered his complete existence to the sacred flames, a new phoenix emerges out of the ash. and he arises young and powerful. The new phoenix is an emanation of his ancestors' labor and wisdom, refreshed and ready to give his gifts to the world. Phoenix sends the message that a part of your life is undergoing resurrection. He facilitates the inward journey that is necessary before any rebirth. Nothing real can ever be lost. Let his medicine lay claim to all that is no longer relevant to your ever-evolving existence. Surrender yourself to the fire of renewal, and you will return reborn, refined, and with more beauty and power than you could have possibly imagined. Balanced. Relaxed and trusting of the process. Imbalanced. Inner conflict with what is. To bring into balance, allow yourself to grieve what has ended. Deep rest. So I really like that at the bottom, what's the meaning, when you're imbalanced, when you are imbalanced in that journey, if you will, and how to bring yourself back into balance with that. So, and I feel like this is definitely when it comes to shadow working yourself in your whatever process that you're going through. So, in this sense, in your healing process, where do you need to bring yourself back into balance with sort of the polarity of life in respect to yourself and how you relate to the world and others, right? How you when you're out of balance, when you're in balance, and how to bring yourself back into balance, right? So when you're not. Okay. Yes. Okay. So that's that one. The next one. Oh. What am I doing? What did I do? Hello. Okay. So the next one that I've been working with that I'm probably still gonna I might still continue with for a little bit is the Mystical Medleys deck published by Liminal 11. I'm sure that there has been various walkthroughs of this deck, so but yeah, something about it sort of screams to shadow work, but also in a very inner childlike kind of way. Sort of, but the older version of that, if you will, if that makes sense. And I guess it appeals to me because maybe because I also have an old soul. You know, I do know that about myself. So, but my inner child is definitely alive and well. Inner children, should I say. That's how I refer to my feelings. Anyway. Yeah. So. And, you know, for those of you that know Liminal 11 cardstock, this one's a kind of matte, and it's kind of got that old, sort of worn-in sort of look on it. Yeah. And, you know, these are the images and what they look like. And of course, you know, for me, it's all about the guidebook, right? So, well, not completely, but I love a good guidebook. I always talk about that. You know, anyways, so, but why I like this is because I feel like it is, sort of beginner friendly, and, you know, version of the tarot. It gives you a very sort of basic understanding and overview that is, to me, relatable, or presently relatable, if you will. So yeah. So actually, you know what? Let's pull a card. Okay, for the collective, please. 8 of Wands. So, yeah. So this deck I've also been using for a while now, for weeks. You know, even throughout, you know, Samhain, the, you know, Halloween season, autumn. I feel like, you know, it was that kind of deck, and you know, for me, sort of paired well with all the other decks I was using. So, okay. So I'll read to you, okay, so the write out for the minor arcana. So, you know, it gives you a blurb so you understand the meaning, excuse me, of the minor arcana. And FYI, for those of you, of course, that are in the divination world and tarot and oracle world, you know that the minor arcana is really the deck of the playing cards, of any standard playing cards, bicycle playing cards that we use for gameplay, you know, family gameplay, connectivity, and the jokers are actually just 2 full cards that are added into the deck. There's actually a pretty yeah. The other meaning behind that is also connected to the year, you know, and the old calendar system before it was switched over to the Gregorian calendar. There's actually 13 months in the year, right? And even if you were to relate it to now, you know, the calendar system that we do follow, the 52 cards is because of the 52 days in the year, and the 4 suits represent 4 seasons, and so on and so forth, right? So it anyway, and yes, I do actually have historical decks that, like, playing card decks that actually do give you that information, which is why I can tell you that, because I remember reading it on a card. That has been in my collection for long before I entered the tarot world. Anyway, the minor arcana. It's not all climactic scenes and grand finales. In between the game-changing events, life happens, and life is what it's all about. The minor arcana take us through the everyday, the lessons we learn, the people who surround us, and the decisions we must make. Every part of life, no matter how small, is part of the grand tapestry, and it can all be found here. So I like that. And okay, so we have Wands, 8 of Wands. Take off and learn to fly again. What was the card I had from here? Right. The Phoenix. The Hierophant. Nope, that wasn't the card. Oh, okay, maybe. Well, anyways, we'll stick with that, yeah. Sorry, I was reading. 8 of Wands. Take off and learn to fly again. The greatest of tasks take the greatest of efforts and the combination of all your power. So much to do, so many people to see, but don't lose sight of the goal at hand. So, yeah. And the last deck that, other than a playing card deck, which I've already actually put away, I will if I find a picture of it, I'll put it up on the screen so you can see what the deck was. But I also found it very fitting at the time. But I have some other decks, playing card decks, that I do want to play around with now for this Christmassy season, as I do celebrate Christmas. But yeah, so anyway, so the last deck, which I think I might just still keep working with too, and that's the Citadel deck by Liminal 11. And of course, same sort of standard box as all their decks, with the slight exception of the Modern Witch Tarot. Yeah. And I do not have that deck. So this is what they have, the inner box. As you can see, the design, and then it's like the flap into another inner box, right, for the inner box. But I like how, the design and the little intricate things, and it's got that magnetic flap closure. Yeah, so and so, this is the Citadel, a fantasy oracle by Fez Inkwright. And it's funny because, so when the limited edition of this deck first came out, it was in sort of the, oh my gosh, it's not an octagon, because I think it's only 5 sides. I can't remember. Anyways, sort of like the sort of stop sign diamond-y shape kind of version of this deck, and that came in another limited edition set by Liminal 11 with the Seed and Sickle Oracle, which I also have. But I, with the cost of shipping, and I live in Canada, and the cost of these decks, I prefer to opt into just the single deck. But since I've gotten the Citadel Oracle, and even when the limited edition first came out, I was really considering getting the limited edition, but of course, because of the expense, it's not, like I just said, wasn't really an option at the time, but it's still something I long for. And I'm not really like a D&D type girl, but I am into puzzle things that include cards like this too. So, and I can show you in later videos, like the kind of books I'm talking about. Or actually, so a deck by an author of books I love, which I have the whole collection of the books, which is the Griffin and Sabine series by Nick Bantock. Well, he also has I think he has 2 decks out right now. One is the Archetypo cards. I think that's the title. I will double check. But then there's a new one, which I can't remember the title right now. But of course, when I find it, I'll put it in the description box or put it up on the screen or whatever. But yeah, so that kind of idea. And then I also have the playing card set that recently came out by Stockholm 17, which is the oh my god, what is the name of it again? I'll put pictures up, and it was a recent Kickstarter in the last couple of years. And I know that the creator is also working on volume 2, which includes decks of cards in the collection, plus a book that is also an interactive puzzle with the cards. So I'm into things and books like that. So yeah, so this is also why I feel like the Citadel was like right up my alley, and I really, really enjoy it. So yeah, and anyway, so working with the Citadel, and I feel like it's great for shadow work, and it has been very complimentary to the cards I've been, currently working with. So anyways, pretty much the same kind of card stock as the, I have quite a few of their decks, same kind of card stock as the Luna Soul, the Seed and Sickle, the Mystical Medleys, same kind of card stock. So, okay. Sometimes they fly. And yeah, so okay, alrighty. One card for the collective, please. One card for the collective. Okay, the Merchant. Self-worth. Trade. Here's the underlining card. The bottom is Parenthood Legacy. I didn't show you what was on the bottom card of the Mystical Medleys, but it was the Fool. You know, alrighty. Hang on, where's... Oh, here's the Citadel book. Lana. Okay. So, of course, with this one, it's the... each section is categorized according to the elements, and the elements have their own names, you know, based on the surrounding story of the Citadel. So anyway, so yeah, we have the Merchant, and that, I believe, hold on, let me double check what the element for that one is. I can't remember them off my hand. I'm gonna have to look it up because I can't remember. I'll put it up on the screen when I figure that out. But anyways, each of these cards represent particular archetypes and characters within the Citadel, and they belong to, you know, the various houses, if you will, which are really, the translation are really the elements, right, of our world, right? So air, water, fire, earth, right? Anyways, and yeah. Okay. So the Merchant. I think this is the Earth suit. Yes. This is definitely the Earth suit. All right. The Merchant. Coins change hands. Deals are struck. A golden scale tilts as goods are weighed. The Merchant greets everyone with a smile, proud in the knowledge that their service benefits others. They know what others have to offer and what they want in exchange, and often the Merchant knows what their customers need before even they do. You've got plenty to offer both yourself and other people, and sometimes it's beneficial to remind yourself exactly what you've got in stock. If you feel like you're being taken advantage of, raise your prices, or maybe your figurative wares would be better appreciated elsewhere. On the reverse, life is full of hagglers, and there are those around you who demand and demand without offering anything in return. You're the only one who can decide what you are and aren't willing to give. Find the strength to say no when needed and use that time for yourself instead. The Merchant self-worth trade. So to me, this, you know, this speaks along the line in the understanding of the law of karma, and why to me, you know, healing and confrontation, shadow work is important, right? You know, and when I talk about the idea of, you know, you know, those are like, when they, the saying, as they say, the saying goes, people will only meet you as deeply as they're willing to meet themselves. And so, you know, to me, that again, that speaks to the understanding of giving and receiving, in regards to, you know, unhealed trauma, and, you know, the sort of the masks we hide behind, that we lead with, that we end up repeating repetitively, you know, throughout our lifespans, right? And generational trauma that speaks to, you know, our choice in action, both that come from, you know, that are our conscious choices, that are subconscious choices, and that, you know, are unconscious choices based on, you know, the trauma that we have been through. And so, you know, the idea, and I heard this, I believe from actually Christina Loeb's, one of, you know, a wonderful, very informative YouTuber, you know, that I've been watching and been following along, you know, during my journey here. You know, and so, you know, and the way she sort of related and talked about karma is the idea that karma is the mirror that will reflect back to you who you are, all the parts, the hidden aspects included of who you are. You know, and until you're able to confront those things, you know, you only end up repeating anyways. But it's the choice in healing and the willingness to go through that work and confront those particular aspects of self. You know, can we then be, you know, have the consciousness to make the necessary changes for the betterment of ourselves and essentially each other, right? You know, and, you know, the generations to follow. That's how we evolve. That's how humanity evolves, right? So the you know, the further, the longer we continue to repeat patterns blindly, you know, and, you know, addressing those issues that may plague us, we're just gonna keep doing the same thing and inflicting the same karmic patterns, you know, and cycles, if you will, moving forward instead. And, you know, so far the cycles that we have been, you know, in all of humanity, in you know, for the collective, you know, on a global scale, the longer these traumas continue to plague us, the more we're going to just suffer. Humanity is going to suffer and ultimately lead to our entire demise until we are willing to do the healing work necessary for change. You know, so I talk in a previous video, you know, I had put out, I had, you know, disclosed my trigger of, you know, what's going on now, you know, or what Not even what's just what is in our face, what is consciously in our world, and that you know is, you know, and in this case I'm referring to, you know, the bombarded news coverage of, you know, the war in Palestine, and you know, anyway, people talk about, and you hear all about this, and and protesting, and we want a ceasefire, and da 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 da. But all of these disasters that are happening globally on the collective scale are karmically happening for a reason. As tragic and heart-wrenching as it is, it's a reflection of humanity. You know, it's everybody talks about wanting a ceasefire, but the only way a ceasefire, how I see it happening, that you know, that I've received, you know, intuitively, is that the ceasefire will only happen when we all commit to a ceasefire amongst each other. Big or small, doesn't matter. It's the choices we make when we connect with one another. We are only as strong as our weakest link. And the choices that for generations we have been making, you know, selfishly, you know, whether consciously, unconsciously, you know, against ourselves, against one another, right? The sins, when we go against light, right? There's a level for, there's the offense and the defense, right? There's a balance between both aspects, you know, all elements. And when things are off, it shifts others. It shifts it in at other areas, the flow of life, of all existence. You know, the understanding of the butterfly effect. So balance what we put out, right? What's coming, the you know, when you've gone too far out of balance, eventually the infliction, it has to autocorrect. That's the idea of karma, right? So, you know, the trauma patterns of our family history, of humanity, that, you know, we continue to repeat, right? You know, the yin, the yang, the dark, the light, that aspect, right? balancing out the ego and having that understanding of a greater whole than just self, and how that is what, to me, why mental health is so important, why the awareness is so important, our actions, how we are affected by our pain. Anyway, and the negative effects, and trying to counteract that it can have, not only on ourselves, but on the greater good of all. Yeah? So, yeah. So anyway, that's my video. That's, with the cards that I've currently been using. As I switch out, will probably show you what, next I might be using for, the upcoming season. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I know this video is super long. I'm in editing, going to try to edit it down as much as possible. But this is definitely, I guess, if you will, my holiday version of this newly started series. And I'm looking forward to, where and how, it will evolve, and, and of course, by all means, whatever feedback you can give. If you made it this far, please, 3 hearts for 3 degrees of love. Because I am love, and so are you. Take care of yourself and one another. And until next time, don't forget to live, listen, and learn. I love you. Take care. Ciao. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. No matter what people want.